The complete works of Swami Vivekananda, The Common Basis of Hinduism, Part 5. Do not be in a hurry. Do not go out to imitate anybody else. There is another great lesson we have to remember. Imitation is not civilization. I may deck myself out in a Raja's dress, but will that make me a Raja? An ass in a lion's skin will never make a lion. Imitation, cowardly imitation, never makes for progress. It is verily the sign of awful degradation of man. Aye, when a man has begun to hate himself, then the last blow has come. When a man has begun to be ashamed of his ancestors, the end has come. Here I am, one of the least of the Hindu race, yet proud of my race, proud of my ancestors. I am proud to call myself a Hindu. I am proud that I am one of your unworthy servants. I am proud that I am a countryman of yours. You are the descendants of the sages. You, the descendants of the most glorious rishis the world has ever seen. Therefore, have faith in yourselves. Be proud of your ancestors instead of being ashamed of them. And do not imitate. Do not imitate. Whenever you are under the thumb of others, you lose your own independence. If you are working even in spiritual things, at the dictation of others, slowly you lose all faculty, even of thought. Bring out through your own exertions what you have, but do not imitate. Yet take what is good from others. We have to learn from others. You put the seed in the ground and give it plenty of earth and air and water to feed upon. When the seed grows into the plant and into a gigantic tree, does it become the earth? Does it become the air? Or does it become the water? It becomes the mighty plant. The mighty tree, after its own nature, having absorbed everything that was given to it. Let that be your position. We have indeed many things to learn from others. Aye, that man who refuses to learn is already dead, declares our Manu. Take the jewel of a woman for your wife, though she may be of an inferior descent. Learn supreme knowledge with service, even from the man of low birth, and even from the Chandal. Learn by serving him the way to salvation. Learn everything that is good from others, but bring it in, and in your own way absorb it. Do not become others. Do not be dragged away out of this Indian life. Do not for a moment think that it would be better for India if all the Indians dressed, ate, and behaved like another race. You know the difficulty of giving up a habit of a few years. The Lord knows how many thousands of years are in your blood. This national specialized life has been flowing in one way. The Lord knows for how many thousands of years. And do you mean to say that that mighty stream, which has nearly reached its ocean, can go back to the snows of its Himalayas again? That is impossible. The struggle to do so would only break it. Therefore, make way for the life current of the nation. Take away the blocks that bar the way to the progress of this mighty river. Cleanse its path. Clear the channel, and out it will rush by its own natural impulse, and the nation will go on careering and progressing. These are the lines which I beg to suggest to you for the spiritual work in India. There are many other great problems which, for want of time, I cannot bring before you this night. For instance, there is the wonderful question of caste. I have been studying this question, its pros and cons all my life. I have studied it in nearly every province in India. I have mixed with people of all castes in nearly every part of the country, and I am too bewildered in my own mind to grasp even the very significance of it. The more I try to study it, the more I get bewildered. Still, at last, I find that a little glimmer of light is before me. I begin to feel its significance just now. Then there is the other great problem about eating and drinking. That is the great problem indeed. It is not so useless a thing as we generally think. I have come to that conclusion that the insistence which we make about eating and drinking is most curious and is just going against what the Shastras required. That is to say, we come to grief by neglecting the proper purity of the food we eat and drink. We have lost the true spirit of it. There are several other questions which I want to bring before you and show how these problems can be solved, how to work out the ideas. But unfortunately, the meeting could not come to order until very late, and I do not wish to detain you any longer now. I will therefore keep my ideas about caste and other things for a future occasion. Now, one more word, and I will finish about these spiritual ideas. Religion for a long time has come to be static in India. What we want is to make it dynamic. I want it to be brought into the life of everybody. Religion, as it always has been in the past, must enter the palaces of the kings as well as the homes of the poorest peasants in the land. Religion, the common inheritance, the universal birthright of the race, must be brought free to the door of everybody. Religion in India must be made as free and as easy of access as is God's air. And this is the kind of work we have to bring about in India, but not by getting up little sects and fighting on points of difference. Let us preach where we all agree and leave the differences to remedy themselves. As I have said to the Indian people again and again, if there is the darkness of centuries in a room and we go into the room and begin to cry, "Oh, it is dark, it is dark," will the darkness go? Bring in the light and the darkness will vanish at once. This is the secret of reforming men. Suggest to them the higher things. Believe in man first. Why start with the belief that man is degraded and degenerated? I have never failed in my faith in man in any case, even taking him at his worst. Whenever I had faith in man, though at first the prospect was not always bright, yet it triumphed in the long run. Have faith in man, whether he appears to you to be a very learned man or a most ignorant one. Have faith in man, whether he appears to be an angel or the very devil himself. Have faith in man first, and then, having faith in him, believe that if there are defects in him, if he makes mistakes, if he embraces the crudest and the vilest doctrines, believe that it is not from his real nature that they come, but from the want of higher ideals. If a man goes towards what is false, it is because he cannot get what is true. Therefore, the only method of correcting what is false is by supplying him with what is true. Do this and let him compare. You give him the truth, and there your work is done. Let him compare it in his own mind with what he has already in him. And mark my words, if you have really given him the truth, the false must vanish. Light must dispel darkness, and truth will bring the good out. This is the way if you want to reform the country spiritually. This is the way, and not fighting, not even telling people that what they are doing is bad. Put the good before them. See how eagerly they take it. See how the divine that never dies that is always living in the human comes up awakened and stretches out its hand for all that is good and all that is glorious. May He who is the Creator, the Preserver, and the Protector of our race, the God of our forefathers, whether called by the name of Vishnu or Shiva or Shakti or Ganapati, whether he is worshipped as Saguna or as Nirguna, whether he is worshipped as personal or impersonal, may He whom our forefathers knew and addressed by these words, that which exists is one, sages call Him by various names. May He enter into us with His mighty love. May He shower His blessings upon us. May He make us understand each other. May He make us work for each other with real love, with intense love for truth. And may not the least desire for our personal fame, our own personal prestige, our own personal advantage enter into this great work of me, spiritual regeneration of India.